In the shining halls of the Celestial Palace on Velor Prime, Princess Zalara walked through rows of glowing star crystals. Her long silver robes shimmered with every step, and her crown pulsed with soft violet light. She was next in line to rule the Velari Dominion and Empire of over 200 star systems. Every being in the galaxy knew her name, and her words carried the weight of entire worlds. But today, she was bored. She sat in the Royal Archive Hall, where ancient stories were told during the Day of Lineage. It was tradition, she had heard. These tales before stories about first contact, great Velari victories. Old myths and elder with a voice like static dust spoke from the center stage. And then came the humans, ... Zalara raised an eyebrow. Not this again. They were a strange species from a blue world Terra, as they called it, fierce, wild. Their warriors stood even when their cities fell. They fought with fire, with steel, with words. They feared nothing, not even death. Some of the younger nobles looked amazed. Zalara smirked. Fairy tales, she whispered to her advisor. Hi, advisor. Therax gave her a small nod. Of course, Your Grace. Humans never truly existed. The stars hold no record of them. We searched long ago, only ruins. No bodies, no proof still, the elder continued. When the ancients tried to conquer them, the humans didn't run. They made the ancients bleed. No empire ever defeated them. In the end, they vanished by their own will. Some say they sleep. Others say they became something else. But all agree on one thing. Never make a human your enemy. The hall fell quiet. Zalara rose. Enough stories, she said, her voice smooth but sharp. Warriors who vanish in two. Legend? Sleeping titans? How dramatic. If such a race existed, we would have found them by now. She turned and left the hall, robes trailing behind like a comet's tail. Later that day, aboard her personal star cruiser Radiance of Dawn, Zalara stood at the observation deck. Staring into the endless dark, her voice was calm. Tell me something. Real Captain, any reports from the outer expanse? Captain Yeren, a tall scaled alien with silver armor, nodded. Strange signal from the edge of Sector That-9. Very old code. Pre-Dominion, possibly even pre-Archive. Zalara's eyes sparkled with curiosity. A mystery. Finally, Yeren hesitated. It's probably just a broken satellite, Princess, but what if it's not? She replied. She ordered her vessel toward the signal. The journey took 3 days. Along the way, they passed dead planets, frozen gas giants, and silent debris fields, graveyards of ancient battles long forgotten. Finally, they arrived at the edge of a dying star system. There, Yeren said, pointing at a lonely, metal shape drifting near a neutron star. A derelict vessel. No power, no life signs. Zalara leaned closer to the glass. What class? No known model. Armor is dense, shielding still intact. Almost human in design. A silence fell in the command deck. Zalara chuckled. Coincidence. Prepare boarding party. The team landed on the ship's outer hull. The airlock was sealed tight, but their tools cut through. Inside, the halls were dark and cold. Words no one could read were scrawled on the walls. Strange, boxy tech filled the rooms. No lights. No AI then. They reached the command deck. A blinking red beacon pulsed once every 10 seconds. It was weak, but alive. The screen next to it showed a looping message. Terraforce Beacon, Alpha 7, requesting assistance. Code Final Wake. Translator had trouble, but it managed enough. Zalara felt a strange chill. She leaned closer to the screen. Captain Yeren, she said, is this real? It shouldn't be, he replied. Terraforce was the name used in the human myths. She laughed once nervously. So the myths used ancient names. Big deal. Then one of the guards called out, Princess, we found something. Down in the lower chamber, stasis pods lined the walls. Each was marked with faded writing, name, rank, status. Most were dead systems failed centuries ago, but one pod blinked green. Active, reviving. What did you do? Zalara shouted. Nothing, the technician replied. It started by itself. When we activated the signal upstairs, it's waking up. Mist hissed from the pod. Lights flickered. A humanoid figure lay inside, muscular, scarred, and armored in black steel with faded blue markings. Slowly, his eyes opened. Zalera stepped back. The being inside looked angry. The pod opened with a slow hiss. He gasped, coughed, and pulled himself out. He stood tall, covered in frost, steam rising from his body like smoke. His right arm had metal implants. His eyes blue as glacier fire swept the room. "Who activated the beacon?" he growled in perfect galactic tongue. No one spoke then. He moved ash fast. In 3 seconds, he took a guard's weapon, disabled another, and reached the command panel. His movements were brutal, but controlled. "Identify," Zalera demanded. Standing firm, he turned slowly toward her, breathing heavy. "Captain Elias Rourke, Terra Force, serial number 117X, Sector Commander, Defense Grid Echo. Who the hell are you?" Zalera blinked. "I am Princess Solara of the Valari Dominion." He stared. "Valari, you're still around? I thought we wiped out your ancestors." The guards aimed their weapons. Zalara raised a hand. "Don't shoot." She stepped forward. "You're human." Rourke looked her up and down. "No kidding." She felt her heart race. "Humans are a myth. You shouldn't exist." He smirked, then coughed. "Yeah, we get that a lot." Back on her ship, Rourke sat in the medical bay, shirtless, with machines trying to scan him most failing. His DNA was off the charts. Enhanced muscles, hardened bones. Even his blood resisted nanobots. "I don't trust your tech," he said. Pushing one scanner away, Zalera stood nearby. "You were asleep for over 1,000 years. We chose to sleep," he said. "After the last war." "Why?" "Because we were tired. Because we won. And because we knew one day someone would come looking." She narrowed her eyes. "Looking for what?" He leaned forward. "For us." Zalara didn't reply. Rourke looked around. "This dominion of yours, how long has it ruled?" 8 centuries. "And in all that time, no one found us?" She smiled. "We thought you were legends." Rourke stood, grabbing his shirt. "Then you've made a mistake." Later, as the ship drifted through space, Zalara stood in her chamber, staring at a holoscreen. It showed Rourke's face, frozen in stasis, now very much alive. She whispered to herself, what if the stories were true? Her world had just changed, and deep in the cryoship, another pod blinked red, then yellow. Another was starting to wake. The halls of the Radiance of Dawn were silent. Everyone on the ship had seen the recording. The man who called himself Captain Elias Rourke had awakened from 1,000 years of sleep, human, a warrior from a race long thought to be just a story. Princess Zalara stood near the medical bay window, watching him closely. Rourke sat inside, eating a tray of food like a man who had not eaten in years. He chewed with focus, but not fear. His eyes, cold and sharp, studied everything, the walls, the lights, the cameras, even the guards standing nearby. Zalara turned to her captain. Is he still under watch? Yes, Your Highness, Captain Yeren said. But I must remind you, he took out 2 elite guards in seconds. He could have escaped already. I think he's choosing to stay. That worried her. Zalara entered the room. Rourke looked up. Princess, you remember my title? I don't forget things, especially not rulers who play with ancient technology. Zalara folded her arms. You attacked my crew. They pointed guns at me first, he replied. Bad manners. For a first meeting, she sighed. Why were you sleeping? Why are you here? Rourke placed his fork down and leaned forward. We were the last line of defense. The galaxy had become too dangerous. Empires like yours were rising again. We knew peace wouldn't last, so we built the vaults, hundreds of them, full of us warriors, scientists, leaders, waiting. Waiting. For what? He smiled slightly. A reason to wake up. Zalara stayed silent. He continued. That beacon, you found it, was a call, a final warning. Something triggered it. Is the galaxy's in trouble? Or someone's poking around in places they shouldn't? She looked at him carefully. You think we're the problem? Rourke shrugged. Depends. Are you planning to conquer anything soon? She didn't answer. Later, Zalara met with her High Council through a secure holocanal. Old alien faces, shimmering in blue light, surrounded her in a ring. You found what? One counselor shouted. A living human. Yes, she said. He calls himself Captain Elias Rourke. Terraforce. His DNA matches nothing in our records. But his language, his tech, even his history, it's all too real. Another counselor frowned. Kill him. Quietly. Before anyone else finds out. Zalara's voice was firm. No, he stared at her. He's not just a soldier, she said. He's a symbol. If the stories are even half true, humans were unstoppable, brave, terrifying. But they weren't monsters. They were protectors. If we kill him, we start something we may not be ready for.
Oh.
An elder leaned forward. Do you believe he's dangerous? Yes, she said. But not evil. There was a long pause. Very well, said the High Chancellor. But do not wake the others. We detected another pod on that ship. Its signal is rising. Shut it down. Zalara nodded, but inside, she wasn't sure she would obey. That night, Zalara visited Rourke again. He was standing now, wearing black tactical clothing given to him by the crew. It looked natural on him. Nice view, he said, staring out the window at a nearby nebula. We never had time to enjoy this back then. Zalara walked beside him. You said there were more of you? Yes. Dozens in my vault alone. Hundreds. Across the galaxy. Some deeper underground. Some lost. Why hide? Because we were tired of war. But we knew it would come again. Maybe not from humans, but from ... empires. From rulers with too much power. Zalara turned to him. Wait. Me. He met her eyes. That depends on what you do next. They stared at each other for a moment. No anger, it's just truth. Then an alert beeped. Warning. Stasis pod. O to activation in progress. Zalara's eyes widened. Another one's waking up. Rourke moved fast. Show me the pod. Now. In the cryo ship, deep in the lower chamber, Pod O2 hissed with escaping steam. Its lights blinked from yellow to green. Rourke stood over it, scanning the controls. His hands moved quickly, but gently. Zalara stood. Behind him, is this one dangerous? Rourke didn't look back. They're all dangerous. But this one's also my second in command. The pod opened a tall, muscular woman with dark skin and a red tattoo on her cheek. Her eyes shot open, and she reached for a weapon that wasn't there. Easy. Major, Rourke said, It's me. She blinked. Captain, is this real? He nodded. Yeah, we've been thawed. The woman looked around, breathing fast. How long? Over 1,000 years. She stepped out of the pod, legs shaky but steady. Who's the alien? Zalara raised an eyebrow. Princess Zalara of Viewership Prime, and you are? The woman stood tall. Major Evelyn, 9th Terran Assault Corps. Rourke chuckled. She once took down a warship with a broken jetpack and a wrench. Ava grinned. It was a big wrench. Back on the radiance of dawn, things grew tense. 2 humans awake, both strong. Both unpredictable. Captain Yaren pulled Zalara aside. We should inform the Dominion High Command. This is no longer a simple discovery, but Zalara shook her head. Not yet. They'll order an attack. And if more pods activate, then we adapt, she said. Inside the war room, Rourke stood over a star map. He pointed to an old sector. This area, it's there. We're at least 3 vaults here. If your people keep exploring like they did, they'll wake more of us. Ava added, and not all of them will be friendly. Some of our kind were built for one thing: destruction. They don't care about peace. They only follow the old protocols. Eliminate all threats. Zalara frowned. Then we need to control. Who wakes up? Rourke looked at her. You're starting to believe I don't have the luxury of disbelief anymore. Hours later, the council sent a message. Destroy the ship. Erase all evidence. Eliminate the humans. Zalara didn't respond. Instead, she walked to the cryoship again. Ava was checking weapons. Rourke was reviewing files from the pod system. Zalara entered. They want me to kill you both. Neither looked surprised. Expected that, Ava said. What will you do? Rourke asked. She sighed. I don't know. You scare them? He nodded. We were meant to. Zalara leaned against the wall. You're not what I expected? You're not monsters. You're tired warriors. You didn't want to rule. You wanted to rest? Ava smiled. Finally, someone gets it. Rourke looked her in the eye. But if someone starts a fire, we know how to end it. The ship's lights flickered for a second, just a glitch. But it felt like a warning. Something had changed. Zalara felt it deep inside. This wasn't just history returning. This was the beginning of something much bigger. Princess Zalara sat alone in her private chamber, aboard the radiance of dawn. Her thoughts were racing. She had discovered something her ancestors never believed. Possible, humans still existed. Not myths, not stories. Real warriors sleeping beneath. Metal, now awake, and watching, and now. The Dominion High Council wanted them dead. Zalara turned off the lights and stared into the stars outside her window. The stars had not changed in 1,000 years, but the galaxy had, and so had her beliefs. Elsewhere on the ship, Captain Elias Rourke and Major Ava Lynn sat in a dark-sealed storage room that had been turned into a temporary war room.
Ow!
The walls were lined with old maps and blinking terminals from the human cryoship. Connected by makeshift cables, Ava frowned at the glowing display. 3 more pods are activating. Orc cursed under his breath. That's too soon. Pushing them? You think the ship is broken? No, Rourke said. I think someone found the other vaults. Ava went quiet. Rourke looked up. We're not alone anymore. Someone's either waking our people by accident or trying to use them. Later that day, Princess Zalara called a private meeting with Rourke and Ava in her briefing room. She didn't bring guards this time. I need answers, she said. Honest ones. No lies, no legends. Rourke leaned back in the chair. We'll give you the truth, but you might not like it. Try me. Rourke nodded slowly. Long ago, before the Valari Dominion, the galaxy was a mess. Thousands of small empires, pirates, warlords, artificial gods, everyone fighting for power. Ava continued. Humanity came from Terra, a small blue world. We grew fast. Too fast. We joined the galaxy late, but we changed everything. We didn't conquer. We stabilized. But how? Zalara asked. Rourke smiled faintly. Because we didn't fear anyone. Fought like we had nothing to lose. And when others attacked our worlds, we made them pay 10 times over. People. Stop trying, and then you vanished. Ava nodded. After the War of 13 Systems, we won. But barely. Billions died. Our worlds were safe, but we were tired of blood, so we created the vaults. Zalara leaned forward. You're back. No, Rourke said. You brought us back. And something else is waking the others. The next day, the ship's alarms screamed. Incoming vessels, unknown origin. Zalara rushed to the command deck. Her heart pounded. Report, she shouted. Captain Yaren looked pale. 5 ships. Not Valari. Not registered. Old tech. Dangerous. Weapons. Moving fast. Pirates, she asked. No, too organized. Too silent. A voice crackled through the coms. Low. Mechanical. Cold. To the vessel. Radiance of dawn. You are in possession of human war assets. Turn them over, or be destroyed. The bridge went silent. Zalara clenched her fists. Who are you? We are the silence. We are the cleaners of chaos, and humans are forbidden. Rourke stepped onto the bridge, calm as ever. A silence. I remember them, Zalara looked at him. Who are they? Rourke's voice grew hard. They were created after the last war. Secret AI empire. Their job was to erase anything too dangerous. Eva appeared beside him. They must have gone rogue. The cum crackled again. Last warning. Surrender the humans, or die. Rourke looked at Zalera. Princess, what do you choose? She didn't hesitate. Shields up. Battle stations. No one takes my crew. Not even ancient nightmares. The battle began. The radiance of dawn shook as the first blast hit its forward shields. Red lights flashed across the ship. Zalara shouted orders, return fire, aim for their engines. The crew obeyed. But the enemy ships were fast. Their weapons were precise, cold, no emotion. Only purpose. In the war room, Rourke and Ava prepared to fight. I need weapons, Rourke said. You're not cleared for the armory guard started. Rourke stepped forward. I don't need clearance. He grabbed a pulse rifle and checked. The settings like it was second nature. Ava grabbed a shock blade. Feels like old times. On the lower deck, a boarding alarm rang. Enemy boarders detected. Sector 3. Mechanical soldiers cold. Silver eyeless cut through the walls like butter. Their limbs turned into weapons. Voices were just static. Zalera watched the feed. From the command deck, we've been breached. She turned to Rourke. Can you stop them? He smirked. Watch us. In the halls of Sector 3, chaos reigned. Valari guards fired at the machines, but their weapons did little damage. The robotic attackers moved fast, slicing through armor like paper. Then came Rourke. He charged in with the rifle, moving like a shadow. Every shot he fired dropped a machine. Ava followed behind, blade glowing, cutting through steel like it was. Flesh the crew watched in shock. These are humans. One whispered, they fight like myths. Another said. Rourke grabbed a plasma grenade, tossed it down a hallway, and ducked. It exploded, sending machine parts flying. He turned to Ava. Still got it? She grinned. I never lost it. Meanwhile, Zalara stared at the enemy ships. They're powering up main cannons, Yaren warned. Redirect all energy to the forward shield, she ordered. But we'll lose engines. Do it. In the boarding zone, the machines started. To retreat, one turned and spoke in a broken voice. Should not exist. Your time is over. Rourke stepped forward. Then why are you afraid of us? The robot paused, then exploded. The ship rocked again. Direct hit, Yaren shouted. The front shields flickered, then held, returning fire, shouted another officer. A bright blue beam shot from the radiance of Dawn's cannon. One enemy ship exploded in silence. Another turned and fled. The rest soon followed. Silence returned. The crew was shaken. Bruised but alive. Zalara stood from her chair. Damage report. Minor, but we lost 2 gun decks and 4 hull stabilizers. Casualties, 17. Zalara lowered her head. Prepare for repair. And get medical to Sector 3. Later, in the quiet medbay, Rourke sat with his arm patched up. Zalera approached him. You saved my ship, he looked at her. No, we saved ourselves. Together, she nodded. The silence will come again, I know. You still want to leave? Rourke shook his head. Not yet. There's more coming, I can feel it. Zalara hesitated, then spoke. What if I help you find the other vaults? He looked at her. You'd risk everything for us? He asked. She smiled softly. I don't think you're just warriors from a lost age. I think you're the balance we've been missing. Ava walked over, bruised but grinning. Then, let's find the others, before the silence does. In the background, on the cryo ship, more lights blinked on. Pods, 0305. 7 stand. Bereavable process starting. ... The humans were waking, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The ship's lower decks were cold and quiet, except for the soft hum of ancient machines. Dozens of cryopods now glowed with blue lights. One by one, the stasis systems unlocked. Inside each pod was a human soldiers, engineers, commanders people. From a lost age of war and sacrifice, and they were waking up. Princess Zelleras stood on the observation deck with Captain Elias Rourke beside her. His face was calm, but his eyes were full of memory. "They're not ready for this," he whispered. "Then wake them slowly," Zellara replied. "One group at a time. We don't want chaos." Rourke nodded, agreed. "But the longer we wait, the more danger we face." From behind them, Major Ava Lynn stepped forward, checking her tablet. "We've got 15 fully revived," she said. 3 tactical officers, 2 pilots, a medical crew, and 1 demolitions expert who thinks this. Is all still a dream? Zellara looked down at the humans stirring in their pods. "Will they follow you?" Ava gave a small grin. They always did. The next day, the crew of the Radiance of Dawn watched something no alien had ever seen before. Human warriors training in the cargo bay, which had been turned into a temporary drill hall. The newly awakened Terran soldiers were practicing combat formations. Some ran tactical simulations. Others disassembled and rebuilt weapons in seconds. Zellara watched from above, amazed. Their movements were fast, smooth, deadly. "They're like machines," Captain Yaren muttered beside her. "No," Zellara corrected. "They're human. That's the difference." In the command center, Rourke laid out a plan. He pointed to a star map. 3 red points blinked across the map. "These are the other vaults I know of," he explained. "One on a dead moon near the Varaxes belt. 1 deep under the oceans of Juna Prime. And 1 hidden on an asteroid that moves every 5 years. "That sounds impossible to find," Ava said. Rourke nodded. "It was designed that way." Zellara stepped closer. "You want to wake more humans?" Rourke didn't answer right away. "Yes," he said at last. "But not all of them. Some vaults held soldiers who were different, genetically altered. Built for war, but not peace. Okay, if the wrong vault opens, it won't just be the silence." "We're fighting," Zellara understood. "Then we choose carefully." Rourke turned to her. "Will your people support this mission?" Zellara paused. "If they don't, I'll do it anyway." Later, in her private quarters, Zellara received a secret transmission. It was from the Dominion High Council. A hologram of the High Chancellor flickered to life. His face was cold and stern. "You have disobeyed direct orders," he said. "The humans must be eliminated. The threat is growing." "They are not a threat," Zellara replied. "They saved my ship. They saved my people. They are relics of war," the Chancellor said, "and war follows relics." Zellara stepped forward. "If the silence is returning, we need warriors who have faced them before. You risk starting another great conflict?" Zellara's voice was calm, but firm. "Then maybe it's already started." The hologram ended. She stood in the dark, her heart heavy. She had made her choice. The first vault they visited was on the dead moon of Varaxes. The Radiance of Dawn entered orbit. A small strike team landed on the surface Rourke, Ava, 2 Valari soldiers, and Zellara herself. The moon was silent. Surface was covered in ash and sharp black rock. The entrance to the vault was hidden beneath a metal tower that had collapsed long ago. Rourke scanned it. "This is the right place," he said. "The signal is weak, but it's there." He cut through the old door and stepped into darkness. Inside, dust floated in the air like fog. The walls were covered in human language and warning signs. "Do not open without command clearance, sleepers inside. Authorized access only." Zellara felt a chill run down her back. "This place feels wrong," she whispered. They reached the cryo chamber. Dozens of pods lined the walls, but something was off. Rourke stepped closer. "These aren't normal pods." Ava looked at a terminal. Her face went pale. "These are Janine South," she said. "Modified warriors. Bio-enhanced. Programmed to kill anything they don't recognize." Rourke swore. "This vault wasn't supposed to be found. We hid it here for a reason." Just then, one of the pods blinked red. "Revival process starting. Shut it down," Rourke shouted. Ava rushed to the console. Too late. "It's locked in." They stepped back as steam hissed from the pod inside. A figure stirred taller than any human so far. Its skin was pale, its eyes glowed faintly, and when the pod opened, it didn't speak, it roared. The Gen 9 soldier leaped forward, slamming Rourke into the wall. Zalera fired her plasma pistol, but it barely slowed him down. Ava rolled under its arm and stabbed it with a shock blade. Sparks flew, but it didn't fall. This thing's a monster, she shouted. The Volari guards tried to help, but one was thrown across the room. The other was crushed by the creature's massive hand. Rourke reached for a grenade and threw it directly at the Gen 9's chest. Boom. Smoke filled the chamber. The creature finally dropped, burning. Everyone was breathing hard. That was one, Rourke said. There are 20 more in here. Zalara stepped forward. Then we lock this vault. Forever. Ava sealed the system. Done. No one's getting in without us. As they left, Zalara looked back at the dark chamber. Not every story had a happy ending. Back on the ship, the crew held a quiet memorial for the lost guards. Rourke stood at the back, saying nothing. Just thinking Ava joined him. Is what you're afraid of? He nodded. Some vaults are poison. Even we couldn't control them. Then we focus on the right ones. He looked out at the stars. We have to. Meanwhile, in a dark region of space, far from any star, a signal echoed. Inside a large black ship, shaped like a dagger, a machine being received the message. Subject: human reawakening confirmed. Units lost 3. Threat level high. The Silence leader stared at the screen. Activate the Reapers. Begin the purge. Across the galaxy, dozens of hidden ships powered up. The old war had started again. But this time, the galaxy had forgotten who the real warriors were. The stars burned brightly above the planet Varanthos. A once-abandoned Terran outpost surrounded by old defense towers and fallen ruins. Now, it was the battleground. Princess Zalara stood beside Captain Elias Rourke and Major Ava Lynn on the command platform. Their eyes stared into the skies as dozens of red dots appeared on the long-range scanners. The Silence had arrived. They're sending Reapers, Ava said quietly. Automated hunter ships. No pilots, no mercy, just kill orders. Orcs. Jaw tightened, and they won't stop. Not until every human is erased from the galaxy. Zalara looked over the human soldiers standing behind them, men and women recently awakened from cryo-sleep. Some still had bandages. Others had tears in their uniforms. But their eyes burned with determination. She stepped forward and raised her voice. My people once believed human warriors were fairy tales, stories told to children. But now, I have seen the truth. The soldiers stood straight. You are not legends. You are real. And today, we fight together. Not for myths, but for the future of this galaxy. The air grew still for a moment. Then Rourke raised his rifle. Let's show them the mistake they made. The enemy fleet descended like a storm. Black ships shaped like daggers filled the sky, blotting out the sun. On the ground, the Silence deployed automech-style spider-like machines with razor limbs and laser cannons. The battle began with thunder. Turrets on the old Terran base roared to life, spitting plasma into the sky. Human pilots, flying restored fighters, rose to meet the enemy. Alari strike teams moved through the trenches, guided by human tacticians. In the center, Rourke led the ground charge. Hold the line, shouted. He and Ava moved together, side by side, cutting down enemy machines with sharp, practiced movements. Left flank is breaking. Someone shouted, I'm on it. Ava ran, slicing through to mechs with her shock blade. Sparks flew. Zalara, wearing light battle armor, stood in the command bunker, issuing orders to both Volari and human teams. Her voice was steady. Clear weapons. Tower B needs support. Send Alpha Squad. The young human soldier, barely 20, turned to her. Princess, why are you doing this? You don't owe us anything. Zalara smiled. Because I believe in you now. That's enough. High above, 3 Reaper-class ships broke through the first line of defense. They're going for the core reactor, shouted Ava through the comms. If they blow that, the whole base goes, Rourke added. I'll take one. You get the others, Ava replied. They split up. Zalara called over the comms, sending drones to support. But they won't reach in time. It's okay, Rourke answered. I've done worse with less. Inside the base, alarms screamed. As the Reaper drones broke through walls, metal screeching against metal, Rourke met them head-on. He tossed a thermal grenade, rolled under a beam, and shot straight into the eye of the lead Reaper. The machine staggered, but the second one charged. Rourke was thrown into a wall. His armor cracked. Blood dripped from his lip. Then he saw a ton-old fusion cannon, half buried under debris. He crawled toward it, powered it up manually, and aimed. It at the Reaper. Time to end this. He whispered. He fired. The Reaper exploded into a fireball. On the other side, Ava was dueling a mech 3 times her size. It smashed the ground with one claw. She dodged, it slashed with another. She flipped backward. She leaped onto its back, stabbing deep with her blade. Sparks rained down. You metal freaks don't learn, she shouted. The Reaper whirled, throwing her off. She hit the floor hard. The mech charged. Suddenly, blaster fire struck it from the side. It was a Valari warrior, Zalara's personal guard. He threw Ava a second blade. She caught it, spun, and plunged both blades into the Reaper's core. The machine let out a dying scream. Then it fell. Ava breathed hard. Teamwork never gets old. The battle outside grew fiercer. The silence sent their last wave giant war machines the size of buildings. They moved with crushing force, flattening everything in their path. Panic rose across the field. We can't stop them, someone cried. Then a voice came through the comms. This is Commander Hart, Gen 3 Cryo Team. We've got orbital launch codes and a gift from the past. From the edge of the battlefield, 5 massive cannons rose from the ground, forgotten. Terran planet breakers, designed to take out capital ships. Are those real? Zalara gasped. Oh, they're very real, Ava grinned. Commander Hart gave the order, firing in 3, 2, 1. The sky lit up 5 beams of white-hot plasma. Struck the giant Reapers from orbit. The ground shook. Light exploded. Smoke covered the battlefield when it cleared. The enemy machines were gone. Silence. Real silence. The battle was over. The dead were buried. The wounded were treated. And the galaxy had witnessed something it thought impossible. Humans had returned and they had won. 3 days later, grand meeting was held on the radiance of dawn. Leaders from both human and Valari forces gathered. Zalara stood at the center. We stood against a threat no one else could face, she said. Together, Rourke stepped forward. This war isn't over. There are more out there, more silence, more old enemies. But we're ready, Ava added, because we remember what the galaxy forgot. One of the Valari generals stepped forward. What do we do now? Zalara looked to Rourke. He smiled slightly. We rebuild. We protect. We teach. Ava placed her hand on a star map, and maybe we remind the stars who we are. Far away, in the ruins of a broken silent ship, a small light blinked. A backup system. A final signal. But before it could send a warning, a boot crushed it. A human scout rifle slung over his shoulder. Grinned. No more fairy tales, he muttered. We're back. Epilogue. Children across the Valari Empire began whispering new stories. Not about gods, not about monsters, but about warriors of Earth. Humans who came from sleep to save a world not their own. Some said they were ghosts. Others said they were heroes. But Princess Zalara knew the truth. They were real, they were human, and they were just getting started.